Have you ever noticed how sometimes the more you pursue someone, the less interest you seem to spark? Picture this. You're reaching out, sending messages, and doing everything you can to grab her attention, yet each effort appears to pull her further away. It might feel confusing or even a bit painful when your energy and care seem to vanish into thin air. I want you to imagine that feeling for a moment. A situation where every extra call or text you send slowly chips away at your own value, even if you're not fully aware of it. You might think that showing more interest will only make her notice you, but sometimes it sends a very different message, that your happiness depends entirely on her response. And when that happens, you risk not only her indifference, but also the loss of respect from her and even from yourself. This conversation isn't about blaming anyone. Rather, it's about understanding a simple truth that many of us overlook. When you're always available, it's like giving away a part of your uniqueness, your very appeal. Think of it like this. If you had a rare collectible, its charm comes from how special and limited it is. Now imagine if that collectible were available every day, in countless copies. It would lose its sparkle, wouldn't it? In the same way, if you're constantly chasing, you inadvertently lower the allure of what you have to offer. I'm here today to share a different perspective, one inspired by timeless wisdom. There's a philosophy that teaches us the strength found in restraint and self-respect. A philosophy that reminds us that true value comes from within. By stepping back and holding on to your own worth, you not only preserve your inner strength, but also invite genuine, meaningful connections into your life. Before we continue, I'd really appreciate it if you took a moment to like this video. Your support goes a long way in spreading these ideas and helping others understand the power of self-respect and balanced relationships. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you're always in the loop for these insightful conversations. Now, let's set the stage for what's coming up. Over the next few minutes, we're going to explore the hidden reasons behind why excessive pursuit can actually cost you respect. We'll look at how our actions, often without our conscious awareness, might be undermining our true value. I'll share some real-life observations and practical ideas that show how holding back can sometimes be the very act that makes you more attractive. Imagine a scenario where, instead of chasing after every sign of interest, you allow a bit of mystery and space to exist. This isn't about playing games or being manipulative. It's about cultivating an inner confidence that naturally draws people toward you. When you focus on your own growth and well-being, you create an environment where respect and attraction can flourish on their own. By the end of our time together, you'll understand that the secret to genuine respect and meaningful connection doesn't lie in chasing, but in embracing your own worth and letting that shine through. You'll gain insights into how a balanced approach, guided by principles of self-control and inner strength, can transform your relationships and enrich your life. So, let's get started on this journey of understanding and transformation. Together, we're about to uncover a perspective that might change the way you think about attraction and respect forever. Let's talk about why women lose respect when you chase. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the more you reach out, the less interest you seem to spark? Imagine this. You're sending messages, making calls, and doing everything you can to show you're interested. But instead of drawing her in, it feels like your efforts are pushing her further away. It's a puzzling experience, isn't it? Think about it like this. Picture a rare collectible that you only get to see on special occasions. Its value comes from its rarity and the excitement that surrounds it. Now imagine if that collectible were available every single day. The spark, that sense of wonder, would quickly fade, wouldn't it? The same idea applies when you're always chasing someone's attention. When you're constantly available, you might be inadvertently watering down the very quality that makes you intriguing. Let's explore this a bit further. When you're always in touch, always available, It sends a message that your time and attention aren't especially rare. It's like saying, I have nothing else going on, and that can diminish the respect you command, not only from her, but from yourself as well. Have you ever wondered why, despite all your efforts, that elusive spark just doesn't catch? It might be because when you chase relentlessly, you risk tying your self-worth solely to her responses. Consider a familiar scenario. Imagine a guy who texts throughout the day, eagerly waiting for a sign of interest, a thoughtful reply, or even a simple acknowledgement. With each unanswered message, something shifts. His energy, his confidence starts to feel less about genuine interest and more like a plea for validation. And over time, this pattern sends a subtle yet powerful message that his self-value is directly linked to how much attention he gets from her. Isn't it interesting how constantly reaching out might actually backfire? It's like overexposing a piece of art. The more it's seen, the less mystery it holds. When you're always there, always chasing, you may inadvertently signal that you lack other passions or interests. Instead of being seen as someone with a rich, fulfilling life, you might be perceived as someone whose entire world revolves around winning approval from one person. Now, imagine being in a social setting where one person is relaxed and fully present, engaging naturally without constantly checking their phone. Their ease, their calm confidence draws people in. In contrast, consider someone who's always distracted, always waiting anxiously for a response. Which one do you think naturally garners more respect? The answer seems obvious. The person who exudes self-assurance and maintains a bit of mystery naturally commands a higher level of admiration. The key here is balance. It's not about pretending you don't care or playing hard to get. It's about understanding that your value isn't defined by constant pursuit. When you allow space for genuine connection, you give your own worth room to shine. Instead of letting your attention become something that's always on offer, you make it clear that your time is valuable, and that can make all the difference in how you're perceived. So, as you reflect on these thoughts, ask yourself, are there moments when your eagerness might be undercutting the respect you deserve? What if, instead of chasing every sign of interest, you focused more on nurturing your own passions and interests? In doing so, you not only boost your own self-respect, but you also create an air of genuine allure that naturally draws people in. Remember, it's about finding that sweet spot where you show interest without losing the essence of what makes you unique. When you allow yourself to be both available and independent, you set the stage for deeper, more respectful connections. Your value isn't diminished by a bit of mystery. Rather, it's enhanced by the balance you create between connection and self-reliance. In the end, the real takeaway is simple. By holding on to your own worth and maintaining a sense of healthy independence, you preserve the respect that others have for you, and that, ultimately, is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. Now, let's talk about the Stoic mindset, why chasing goes against strength. Have you ever noticed how sometimes, when you're overly eager to pursue someone, it almost feels like you're giving away a piece of your strength? Let's chat about this idea for a moment. There's a timeless wisdom that comes from Stoic philosophy, and it tells us that true strength lies in self-control, in knowing when to hold back, and in trusting that what's meant for you will find its way. When you're constantly chasing, you're not only exhausting your energy, but you're also sending out a signal that you're in need of validation. And really, doesn't that undermine the very respect you deserve, from both yourself and others? Imagine a moment when you're feeling overwhelmed by the need for someone else's attention. Instead of reacting impulsively, a person with a Stoic mindset pauses, takes a breath, and considers what truly matters. This pause isn't just about waiting, it's about recalibrating your inner compass. It's about recognizing that your worth isn't determined by how quickly you respond or how hard you pursue someone. Instead, it's measured by your ability to remain centered, no matter what's happening around you. Let's think about it in more everyday terms. Picture a time when you really needed something, a job, an opportunity, or even a simple favor. When you're desperate, you might end up overextending yourself, right? But then, there's also that voice inside you that reminds you, hold on, your value isn't defined by this moment alone. That's the essence of the Stoic approach. It teaches us that our reactions should be measured, that we should detach from the immediate need for validation, and that we should trust in our own inherent value. I remember a story I once heard about a man who, instead of relentlessly pursuing approval from everyone around him, focused on developing his inner strength and purpose. He began to invest time in his own growth, learning new skills and pursuing passions that ignited his spirit. And what happened? Slowly but surely, people started to notice him, not because he was chasing their approval, but because he exuded a calm confidence and self-assuredness that was impossible to ignore. His strength wasn't in his ability to win people over with constant attention. It was in his capacity to remain true to himself, even when faced with challenges. When you chase after someone's attention, you may inadvertently be saying, "I need you to validate me." But true strength, the kind that draws respect, comes from within. It's about having the confidence to know that you are enough just as you are, and that your happiness isn't at the mercy of someone else's response. This isn't about being indifferent or unkind. It's about cultivating a sense of inner security and self-worth that doesn't waver with every interaction. Have you ever experienced a moment when you felt completely at ease, even in the face of rejection or indifference? That's when you're tapping into the Stoic mindset. It's that quiet assurance that, regardless of what happens, you remain in control of your own emotions. Instead of reacting impulsively, sending another message, making another call, you simply observe the situation, learn from it, and move forward with your head held high. It's in these moments of calm detachment that your true power shines through. I know it might sound challenging at first. After all, in a world that constantly demands our attention and validation, stepping back can feel almost counterintuitive. But consider this. Every time you resist the urge to chase, you're making a choice to prioritize your inner strength over temporary approval. You're telling yourself, "I value who I am, and I don't need to prove that to anyone." And that, my friend, is a powerful declaration of self-respect. Think about the times when you felt most respected. Often, it wasn't when you were trying too hard to be liked, but rather when you were confident, self-assured, and true to your own values. There's a magnetic quality about someone who is secure in their own skin, a person who doesn't need to chase after every compliment or validation. Instead, they let their actions speak for themselves, and they trust that the right people will be drawn to their genuine strength. It's important to remember that cultivating this mindset isn't something that happens overnight. It's a gradual process of self-discovery and self-discipline. There will be moments when the urge to chase feels overwhelming, when the need for someone's attention seems to overpower your better judgment. In those moments, it helps to take a step back and reflect on what really matters. Ask yourself, am I chasing this because I value this person, or am I chasing because I'm seeking validation? The answer can be very revealing. By focusing on your own growth, on your interests, your goals, your passions, you create a life that is rich and fulfilling regardless of someone else's involvement. When you invest in yourself, you build a reservoir of inner strength that nothing external can deplete. That's the beauty of the Stoic way. It teaches you to find contentment within, so that external circumstances, however challenging, never shake your core. I want you to think about this for a moment. Imagine a person who is so deeply engaged with their own life that their energy is magnetic. They're not constantly checking their phone or seeking out affirmation. Instead, they're fully immersed in their passions, in their work, in their relationships. And what do you think happens? People are naturally drawn to them. They want to be around someone who radiates confidence and independence, who isn't defined by the need for constant reassurance. This approach doesn't mean you should shut people out or become aloof. It's not about playing hard to get or creating barriers to genuine connection. Rather, it's about maintaining a healthy balance, showing interest when it's genuine, but also holding space for your own needs and aspirations. It's a delicate dance, one that requires self-awareness and a commitment to honoring your own worth. You might find that when you start practicing this kind of emotional restraint, things begin to shift in unexpected ways. Instead of feeling anxious about every message or every interaction, you begin to feel a sense of calm assurance. You realize that your value isn't dependent on someone else's response, but is inherent in who you are. And as you embody that truth, you notice that the respect you receive from others grows naturally, without any need for constant pursuit. Sometimes, the greatest strength lies in the ability to wait, to allow things to unfold naturally without forcing a particular outcome. It's in that waiting, that patient observation of life as it happens, that you discover the real power of emotional control. Instead of reacting with urgency or desperation, you respond with thoughtful consideration. And that, in itself, is a mark of true strength. I know it can be tough to resist the impulse to chase, especially in a world where immediate gratification is so readily available. But remember, every moment you choose to pause and reflect, you're reinforcing the message that your inner peace is more valuable than a fleeting moment of attention. It's a choice to honor your own time and energy, to say that you are worth more than the constant pursuit of approval. There's a famous saying that goes, "The best revenge is living well." In a way, embracing the Stoic mindset is a form of self-revenge against the pressures of our modern world. It's about proving to yourself that you don't need to chase after validation because you already possess an inner strength that is unshakable. When you live with purpose and conviction, you set an example not just for others, but for yourself. You show that your self-worth is not up for negotiation. In these moments of reflection, consider the power of detachment, not in the sense of being cold or distant, but in the sense of maintaining your equilibrium no matter what happens around you. When you detach from the outcome, you free yourself from the cycle of chasing and disappointment. You allow yourself to be present in your own life, fully engaged in the things that bring you joy and fulfillment. And that's when you truly become irresistible. The Stoic approach encourages you to cultivate a mindset where your happiness comes from within, where your self-respect is not contingent on someone else's attention. It invites you to see every interaction as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to strengthen the foundation of your own character. Instead of letting the ups and downs of external validation dictate your mood, you take charge of your own emotional landscape. And that's a game changer. So, as you reflect on these thoughts, ask yourself, what can I do today to nurture my inner strength? How can I create a space in my life where my worth isn't measured by how quickly I respond or how hard I chase? Perhaps it's as simple as taking a few deep breaths when you feel the urge to reach out. Or maybe it's dedicating more time to activities that ignite your passion and creativity. In the end, embracing the Stoic mindset is about reclaiming your power. It's about understanding that true strength isn't shown through relentless pursuit, but through the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your own value. When you choose to step back and let life unfold naturally, you open the door to a deeper, more authentic form of connection, one that is built on mutual respect and genuine admiration. Remember, you are the captain of your own ship. When you steer your life with purpose and maintain your inner balance, you become a beacon of strength and integrity. And that is something that can never be diminished by the need to chase after fleeting approval. Embrace your own worth, trust in the journey, and let your inner light guide you. In these moments of self-reflection, know that every step you take towards inner strength is a step towards a richer, more fulfilling life. The journey may not always be easy, but it is undoubtedly worth it. And as you continue to build your inner reservoir of strength, you'll find that the respect you earn from others, and most importantly from yourself, will become an unshakable part of who you are. All right, here's the game changer: how to flip the script from chaser to high-value man. Have you ever felt stuck in that cycle where you're always the one reaching out, always the one hoping for a sign of interest, and yet nothing seems to change? Imagine if you could turn that around completely. What if you could become the kind of person who naturally draws others in without having to chase every moment? Today, we're going to explore how you can shift from being a relentless pursuer to becoming someone whose presence is magnetic, whose value is undeniable, and whose confidence speaks for itself. Picture a scenario where, instead of being glued to your phone, you decide to step back and let life unfold on its own terms. When you create a little space, you allow curiosity to build, both in yourself and in those around you. It's not about playing games or being distant for the sake of it. It's about recognizing that your time and attention are precious. There's a quiet power in knowing that when you're not always available, your presence becomes something to look forward to. This is the essence of the power of absence. When you deliberately step back, you leave room for anticipation. That space you create isn't emptiness. It's a signal that you value your own time, and that in turn makes others value it too. Now think about the times when you've held back your immediate reaction. Instead of sending a quick reply or firing off another message, you take a breath and pause. That pause might seem small, but it's transformative. It's in that moment of deliberate silence that you show true emotional control. Rather than reacting impulsively, you give yourself the chance to process your thoughts and emotions, and that control is incredibly attractive. It tells others that you're not ruled by fleeting impulses, but that you're secure enough in your own skin to wait for the right moment to engage. Imagine responding with intention instead of urgency, a response that reflects your inner calm and confidence. Now consider setting your own priorities. Have you ever noticed how someone who's truly passionate about their own life exudes an energy that's hard to ignore? Instead of letting every waking moment revolve around someone else's attention, imagine dedicating time to what truly matters to you, whether that's pursuing a hobby, advancing your career, or simply enjoying the company of friends and family. When you invest in your own growth, you build a life that feels rich and fulfilling, and that self-assuredness radiates outwards. It's not just about having a full schedule, it's about creating a life where your happiness is anchored in your own achievements and passions. And when you're busy building that life, you naturally become less dependent on external validation. There's also a liberating quality in detachment, a kind of freedom that comes when you let go of the need for immediate approval. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring or become indifferent. It means you understand that not every interaction needs to define your worth. When you learn to detach from the outcome, you free yourself from the cycle of constant chasing and anxiety. You begin to see that the quality of your relationships isn't measured by how quickly someone responds, but by the depth of the connection you build over time. By detaching from the need for immediate validation, you open up space for genuine, lasting connections to develop naturally. Authenticity plays a major role in this transformation too. Think back to a time when you felt completely at ease in your own skin, when you weren't trying to impress anyone, but simply being yourself. That authenticity is incredibly compelling. When you're honest about who you are, with all your strengths and vulnerabilities, you invite others to do the same. Authenticity isn't about revealing everything all at once. It's about being real in every interaction. It's about showing that you're confident enough in your own worth that you don't have to resort to endless pursuit. When you're genuine, you build trust and respect naturally because people are drawn to sincerity. Another crucial element is the establishment of clear boundaries. Consider this: if you're constantly chasing, it might be a sign that you haven't clearly defined what you're willing to give and what you expect in return. Healthy boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting your own energy and ensuring that your time is valued. When you set boundaries, you signal that your time and attention are finite resources. You're not saying, "I don't care," but rather, "I care enough about myself to know my limits." Over time, these boundaries help create an environment where mutual respect can flourish and where relationships are built on equality rather than dependency. Now, imagine rethinking the way you interact with those who matter to you. Instead of automatically reaching out at every opportunity, what if you allowed yourself to step back and observe? Think about the impact of taking a moment to reflect on your own feelings before acting. This self-awareness gives you the space to decide if your actions are coming from a genuine place of interest, or if they're driven by a fear of missing out or a need for reassurance. When you take the time to understand your motivations, you can choose to act in a way that aligns with your true self. That conscious choice is empowering. It's a declaration that you're not willing to compromise your self-respect for the sake of momentary validation. Imagine a day where you wake up and instead of your first thought being about checking your messages, your mind is already buzzing with plans and aspirations. You're excited about a project, a new skill, or even just a quiet morning with a good book. In this state, your energy is focused on building something meaningful for yourself rather than on chasing after fleeting interactions. This shift in focus not only enriches your life, but it also makes you far more attractive to others. People are naturally drawn to individuals who are passionate about their own journey, who have goals and dreams that extend beyond the need for immediate approval. Consider the impact of a single change in perspective. When you choose to invest in your own growth, you begin to radiate a kind of self-assurance that can't be faked. It's like turning on a light from within, a light that not only brightens your own path, but also illuminates the way for others. This inner light is the foundation of being a high-value man. It's the confidence that comes from knowing that your worth isn't determined by someone else's response, but by the value you create in your own life. Reflect on this for a moment. What would your day look like if you prioritized your own growth over the need for constant interaction? Imagine spending your time honing a skill, connecting deeply with friends, or simply enjoying the peace of being comfortable with yourself. That's the kind of life that not only brings genuine happiness, but also naturally attracts respect and admiration from others. It's a life where every interaction is a bonus rather than a lifeline. When you're living that kind of life, the need to chase fades away, replaced by a quiet assurance that you are complete on your own. And here's something else to consider. When you flip the script, you also redefine your relationships. Instead of being the one who constantly gives, you become the one who receives, because you've created a balanced space where mutual respect thrives. It's a shift from dependency to independence, a shift from being reactive to being proactive. This change doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process of reprogramming the way you think about yourself and your interactions with others. But each small step, each moment you choose to focus on your own worth rather than on chasing validation, is a victory. Imagine the transformation that occurs when you start setting clear priorities. Instead of being at the mercy of every ping on your phone, you take control of your time. You decide when to engage and when to hold back. This self-regulation is not only empowering, it's a declaration that you're in charge of your own life. And when you have that kind of control, others will naturally start to see you in a different light. They'll notice the change in your energy, the calm assurance in your voice, and the unwavering focus in your actions. That's the kind of magnetism that comes from within, a magnetism that can't be forced, only earned. Think about it like this. Every time you choose to focus on yourself rather than on the endless chase for approval, you're sending a powerful message to the world. You're saying, I know my worth, I value my time, and I'm here to build a life that's meaningful and full of purpose. And that message is incredibly attractive. It invites people to join you on that journey, to share in that energy, and to appreciate you for who you truly are. It's not about having everything figured out. It's about embracing your journey with all its ups and downs, and allowing that journey to shape a person who is both strong and compassionate. Imagine waking up each day with a sense of clarity, a clarity that comes from knowing that your happiness is in your hands, not in the hands of someone else. You're excited about your own potential, confident in your abilities, and ready to face whatever challenges come your way. This state of mind doesn't just change how you interact with others, it changes how you see yourself. And when you see yourself as valuable, as complete, and as worthy of respect, that self-perception naturally becomes visible to everyone around you. So, what can you do right now to start flipping the script? Begin by making a conscious choice to focus on your own journey. Recognize the moments when you're tempted to chase, and ask yourself if that's really where your energy is best spent. Instead, invest that energy in your passions, your hobbies, and your personal growth. Each time you make that choice, you reinforce the idea that your value isn't determined by someone else's response. It's inherent in who you are. Over time, these small choices add up, transforming not only the way you interact with the world, but also the way you see yourself. Take a moment to reflect on the possibility of a life where you're not chasing validation, but instead living fully in your own power. Picture yourself confidently stepping into each day with the knowledge that your worth is unshakable, that your time is precious, and that your energy is best used in creating a life that's rich and fulfilling. That, my friend, is the true path to becoming a high-value man. In the end, flipping the script is about reclaiming your narrative. It's about choosing to be the architect of your own happiness rather than the subject of someone else's approval. It's a journey that requires patience, self-awareness, and a willingness to prioritize your own well-being above the constant need for external validation. And as you take these steps, you'll find that the respect you earn from yourself and from others grows naturally and powerfully. Remember, every moment you invest in yourself is a step toward a more fulfilling, balanced life. Embrace that journey, trust in your own worth, and watch as your life transforms into one that naturally attracts admiration and genuine connection. This is how you flip the script. From being a relentless chaser to becoming a man whose confidence, self-respect, and authenticity speak volumes without a single word. Let's break it down. The biggest mistakes that destroy respect. Have you ever wondered why sometimes, despite your best intentions, your actions end up costing you respect instead of earning it? Today, we're going to uncover the truth behind some of the most common mistakes that can erode the respect you deserve. It's a conversation many of us need to have with ourselves, especially when we notice that our efforts to connect might be pushing people away instead of drawing them in. Let's start with one of the most frequent pitfalls: over-texting and over-calling. Picture this. You send multiple messages throughout the day, hoping for a quick reply that will reassure you that everything's okay. But what happens when your phone remains silent, or when the replies you get are curt and infrequent? Over time, this pattern can give the impression that you're desperate for constant validation. Instead of showing that you have a rich, engaging life, it sends a signal that your self-worth depends solely on someone else's attention. And let's be honest, that's not the kind of energy that naturally commands respect. Another common mistake is being too available. When you're always ready and waiting at a moment's notice, you inadvertently diminish the value of your time. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a rare, limited edition item. Its scarcity is what makes it desirable. Now, if that item were available every day without fail, its allure would start to fade. The same principle applies to personal interactions. Constant availability can make you seem less mysterious, less intriguing. It might even come off as if you have nothing else going on in your life, which isn't true. The truth is, your energy and your time are precious, and when you don't honor that, others might start to see it as a lack of self-respect. Let's explore another mistake that many of us fall into: trying too hard to convince someone to like you. It's natural to want to be liked, but there's a fine line between showing genuine interest and overcompensating with excessive effort. When you continuously attempt to change yourself or prove your worth to someone, it can come across as if you're trying to force a connection that isn't meant to be. That kind of behavior not only undermines your authenticity, but it can also signal to others that you're willing to sacrifice your true self just to win approval. And in the end, that rarely builds the kind of lasting respect that forms the foundation of strong relationships. Another pitfall that's worth mentioning is apologizing too much, especially for things that aren't really mistakes at all. When you find yourself constantly saying sorry for your actions or even your natural behavior, it might indicate that you're undervaluing your own worth. Over-apologizing can inadvertently signal that you're in the wrong even when you're not, and that you're willing to accept less than you deserve. Respect starts with self-respect, and if you don't give yourself permission to own your actions without a constant need for forgiveness, it's hard for others to see you as someone who stands firm in your value. Let's not forget the mistake of confessing feelings too soon or too often. When you pour your heart out immediately, without giving the connection time to develop naturally, it can overwhelm the other person. It's like trying to force a deep conversation, when what's needed is a slow, measured build-up of trust and mutual understanding. While it's important to be honest about your emotions, timing is crucial. Confessing too early can put too much pressure on the relationship and might even scare the other person away rather than drawing them closer to you. There's also a subtle mistake that often goes unnoticed: the failure to maintain your own identity. When you become so focused on another person that your world starts revolving around them, you risk losing sight of what makes you unique. It's essential to have your own hobbies, passions, and interests that not only enrich your life, but also make you more interesting to be around. Without that, it might seem like you're overly dependent on someone else for your happiness, which can be a red flag for respect and admiration. People are drawn to individuals who are well-rounded and have a clear sense of self, those who bring their own vibrancy into every interaction. Now let's talk about the importance of balance. It's a common mistake to either overcompensate by constantly reaching out or to pull away entirely in an attempt to prove you're not desperate. The key is finding that middle ground where you show genuine interest while still maintaining your independence and self-respect. This balance is what creates a dynamic, engaging connection. A connection where both parties feel valued without one person's attention being taken for granted. When you lose that balance, you risk coming off as either too needy or too detached, and in either case, respect can suffer. Imagine a scenario where every action you take is a reflection of your inner confidence. Instead of bombarding someone with messages or being too eager to please, you take a step back and allow the natural rhythm of the relationship to unfold. In that space, you're not just reacting to every little cue, but rather you're engaging thoughtfully and intentionally. That kind of measured, self-assured approach is what draws people in and earns their respect over time. It shows that you are in control of your own emotions and that you have a clear understanding of your own worth. Another thing to consider is the impact of inconsistent behavior. When your actions are unpredictable, oscillating between extremes of intense attention and complete absence, it can confuse the person on the other end. Consistency is crucial when it comes to building trust and respect. When someone sees that you're steady, that your actions align with your words, they are more likely to feel secure and respected in your presence. Inconsistency, on the other hand, creates doubt and can erode the foundation of any meaningful connection. Let's explore the idea of respect from another angle. How the mistakes we make in pursuit often reflect our own inner turmoil. When you're chasing after someone without a clear sense of self, it often means that deep down you might be seeking external validation to fill an inner void. This isn't just about the other person, it's about what you're telling yourself about your own worth. Every time you overtext, apologize excessively, or confess your feelings too early, you might be unconsciously saying that you need constant reassurance to feel complete. And that, my friend, is one of the fastest ways to erode the respect you deserve, both from others and from yourself. Let's be honest, none of us are perfect, and we all make mistakes along the way. The important thing is to recognize these patterns and to start making adjustments. Ask yourself, am I sending the message that I value my time and energy? Do my actions reflect the confidence I feel inside? When you begin to answer these questions honestly, you can start to see where improvements need to be made. And that's the first step toward building a more respectful, balanced approach to relationships. Imagine a scenario where every interaction you have is rooted in genuine respect for yourself and for the other person. Picture a life where you communicate with clarity, where you're not weighed down by the need to prove your worth, and where your actions naturally reflect the strength of your character. In that life, the mistakes we've discussed, over-texting, over-availability, excessive apologies, premature confessions, and a loss of personal identity, simply don't have a place. Instead, what remains is a foundation of mutual respect, where both parties feel valued and understood. So, as you reflect on these ideas, consider what adjustments you might make in your own approach. What small changes can you implement today that will help you avoid these common pitfalls? Perhaps it starts with taking a moment before sending that extra message, or maybe it means dedicating time to your own passions so that your life feels fuller and more independent. Each small change is a step toward a more respectful, balanced way of connecting, one that honors your value and invites others to see it as well. In the end, the biggest mistakes that destroy respect are often the ones that come from a place of insecurity. When you rely too heavily on external validation, you risk diminishing the very qualities that make you unique and worthy. The journey to building lasting respect starts with recognizing these mistakes and making a conscious effort to change them. Remember, the goal isn't to be perfect, but to be authentic, true to yourself and to the value you inherently possess. As you move forward, keep in mind that every interaction is an opportunity to demonstrate your self-respect. Let your actions speak for themselves. When you choose to act with intention and clarity, you pave the way for relationships that are built on trust, admiration, and genuine connection. And that, ultimately, is the kind of respect that lasts a lifetime. Let's uncover the truth. How Stoicism makes you unshakable. Have you ever wondered how some people seem completely unfazed by setbacks or rejection, as if nothing could ever shake their confidence? Today, let's explore how embracing Stoicism can make you emotionally resilient and unshakable, even in the face of life's toughest challenges. Imagine facing criticism or disappointment, and instead of feeling crushed, you find a calm strength within yourself. That inner strength isn't something you acquire overnight. It's built through consistent practice, self-reflection, and a mindset that refuses to let external circumstances dictate your self-worth. In essence, Stoicism teaches us that true power lies in how we respond, not in the events themselves. Think about a time when you were hurt by someone's words or actions. How often have those moments lingered, affecting your mood or clouding your judgment? A Stoic approach, however, encourages you to view such moments as opportunities for growth. Instead of letting a rejection define you, you learn to see it as a chance to develop your inner fortitude. As Seneca famously said, "If you want to be loved, love." That simple wisdom reminds us that love and strength come from within, and that our true value isn't dependent on external validation. Picture a man who faces rejection not with despair, but with a quiet determination. He encounters setbacks, a project fails, a relationship ends, and yet he remains composed. How does he do it? He practices emotional detachment, not in the sense of becoming cold or indifferent, but by understanding that his worth is not determined by every fleeting opinion or moment of adversity. Instead of reacting impulsively, he takes a breath, reflects on the lesson at hand, and moves forward with renewed clarity. This is the essence of Stoicism, learning to remain steady amid the storm. Now ask yourself, what if you could cultivate that same sense of calm and resilience? Imagine waking up each day with the certainty that no matter what happens, you are secure in your own value. It starts with recognizing that your emotions, however intense, do not have to control your actions. When you practice mindful detachment, you begin to see that every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen your character. It's like building an inner muscle. Each moment of resistance makes you stronger over time. Let's talk about some practical ways to develop that unshakable mindset. First, consider the power of perspective. When something negative happens, instead of immediately taking it to heart, try to view it as a part of a larger journey. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this experience? This shift in focus not only diminishes the pain of the moment, but also transforms adversity into a stepping stone for personal growth. Next, think about the importance of self-reflection. Every once in a while, take a moment to pause and assess your reactions to life's ups and downs. Reflect on how you respond to criticism or failure. Are your emotions leading you to react in ways that diminish your sense of self-worth? Or do you recognize these challenges as temporary and use them to fuel your progress? By regularly checking in with yourself, you create a feedback loop that reinforces positive behaviors and diminishes negative patterns. Consider the story of someone who, after experiencing repeated setbacks, decided to change his approach. Instead of allowing each failure to knock him down, he began to see them as tests of his resilience. He started to practice gratitude, focusing on what he still had rather than what he had lost. This gratitude became the foundation of his strength, reminding him daily that his value was inherent, regardless of external circumstances. With each challenge, his resolve grew, and his ability to remain unshaken became a defining part of his character. Now let's delve into the role of routine in building emotional resilience. Establishing daily habits that promote a calm and centered mind can make a significant difference. Whether it's a morning meditation, journaling your thoughts, or even a brisk walk in nature, these practices help to reset your emotional state. They remind you that you are in control of your inner world. When you dedicate time to these rituals, you create a buffer against the inevitable stresses of daily life. Over time, these small acts of self-care add up, forging an unbreakable sense of self. Let's explore another key aspect, the art of accepting what you cannot change. Often, our struggles stem from the desire to control outcomes that are simply beyond our reach. By embracing the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control, your own thoughts and actions, you free yourself from the weight of unrealistic expectations. This acceptance is not about resignation, it's about understanding that the external world will always have its uncertainties. What truly matters is how you choose to respond. With this mindset, every setback becomes an exercise in fortitude, and every success a reaffirmation of your inner strength. Have you ever noticed how people who practice this form of detachment seem to glow with confidence? Their composure in the face of adversity is not a sign of weakness, but a testament to their self-discipline and inner clarity. They do not allow the opinions or actions of others to shake their resolve. Instead, they remain anchored in their own truth, trusting that every challenge is an opportunity to grow. This unwavering focus is what makes them truly unshakable. Let's consider a powerful analogy. Think of your mind as a fortress. Each time you choose to respond to adversity with calm reflection rather than impulsive reaction, you add another brick to that fortress. Over time, the walls become so sturdy that even the strongest storms cannot breach them. That fortress is your inner resilience, a structure built through consistent practice, self-awareness, and the determination to hold on to your intrinsic worth. Another crucial element in cultivating unshakable strength is the willingness to learn from every experience. Instead of viewing setbacks as personal failures, try to see them as invaluable lessons. Each misstep carries with it a piece of wisdom that can guide you in the future. When you adopt this perspective, even the hardest moments become stepping stones towards a more resilient version of yourself. Ask yourself, what did this experience teach me? Or, how can I use this setback to propel me forward? These questions shift your focus from what went wrong to how you can improve, transforming adversity into an essential part of your growth. Let's uncover one more important truth. True resilience is a journey, not a destination. It's not about reaching a point where you never feel pain or disappointment. Those emotions are a natural part of life. Instead, it's about developing the strength to face those feelings head-on, to process them, and then to move forward with a renewed sense of purpose. This ongoing journey is what builds character and fosters a deep, abiding sense of self-respect. So as you reflect on these ideas, ask yourself, what steps can I take today to build my inner fortress? Perhaps it begins with a moment of quiet reflection or a commitment to a daily practice that centers your mind. Every small effort you make to strengthen your emotional resilience is a step toward becoming unshakable. Remember, it's not the challenges themselves that define you, but the way you choose to respond to them. In the end, adopting a Stoic mindset is about reclaiming control over your emotional landscape. It's about understanding that while you cannot control every event in your life, you can control your reaction, and that choice is incredibly empowering. By focusing on what you can change and accepting what you cannot, you build a resilience that remains steadfast, regardless of the circumstances. As you move forward, carry this thought with you. Your strength is not measured by the absence of struggle, but by your ability to overcome it with grace and dignity. Embrace the wisdom of Stoicism, let it guide your actions, and watch as your inner fortress grows stronger with each passing day. That, my friend, is the true path to being unshakable, living life with an unwavering confidence that no external force can ever diminish. Before we wrap up, I want to share some final thoughts that tie everything together and leave you with a clear sense of direction. Over the course of our conversation today, we've uncovered a lot of valuable insights, from understanding why excessive pursuit can diminish respect, to embracing the Stoic mindset that makes you unshakable, and finally, to flipping the script so that you become the high-value man who naturally attracts genuine connection. Each of these elements plays a critical role in creating a balanced life where respect, both from others and from within, grows naturally. Take a moment to reflect on the idea that chasing isn't a sign of interest, but often a signal of underlying insecurity. When you find yourself constantly reaching out, it may be a subconscious plea for validation, a way of telling the world that your happiness depends solely on someone else's response. But here's the truth, your self-worth comes from within. Every time you choose to pause, to hold back, and to trust in your own value, you not only safeguard your inner strength, but also create an aura of confidence that others can't help but notice. Consider the transformation that occurs when you start living life on your own terms. Instead of devoting all your energy to seeking approval, you begin to invest in yourself. Think about the satisfaction that comes from pursuing your interests, whether that's honing a new skill, spending quality time with friends, or simply engaging in hobbies that ignite your passion. When you prioritize your own growth and well-being, you set a powerful example. You show that you are complete and that your value isn't defined by someone else's attention. This shift in focus is what truly paves the way for deeper, more authentic relationships. I also want to emphasize the importance of emotional resilience. Embracing a Stoic approach means learning to manage your emotions and accepting that not every setback or moment of rejection needs to shake your core. Instead of letting every negative interaction diminish your spirit, you view these experiences as opportunities for learning and growth. By reflecting on what each challenge can teach you, you build an inner fortress, a place where your self-worth remains unchallenged, no matter what life throws your way. As we consider the ideas we've discussed today, ask yourself, what small changes can I make starting now to honor my own value? Perhaps it's about taking a moment before responding to a text, or maybe it's setting aside time each day to focus on your personal passions. Each of these actions, however minor they might seem at first, builds up over time. They add layers to your self-respect and create a powerful shift in how you interact with the world. Imagine a life where every decision you make reinforces your belief in your own worth, a life where you are the driver of your happiness, not someone else's approval. I also want to remind you that setting healthy boundaries is crucial. When you define what you're willing to give and what you expect in return, you protect your energy and reinforce your self-respect. Boundaries are not about shutting people out. They're about creating a space where mutual respect can thrive. When others see that you value your time and energy, they are more likely to mirror that respect in their interactions with you. It's a win-win situation where you build relationships based on equality and genuine appreciation. Now, as we come to the end of this conversation, let's take a moment to look at the bigger picture. The journey we've discussed isn't about making drastic changes overnight. It's about gradually shifting your mindset. It's about understanding that true strength lies in knowing your worth and having the courage to live by it. Every time you choose self-improvement over seeking fleeting validation, you step closer to a life filled with authentic connections and lasting respect. Before we wrap up completely, I want to extend an invitation to you. If you found these ideas helpful, if they resonated with your experiences or opened up a new way of thinking, I'd really appreciate it if you could give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Your support means a lot, not just in spreading these principles, but also in building a community where we can all learn and grow together. And if you have any thoughts or experiences related to what we talked about today, please share them in the comments below. I love hearing from you, and your insights can help spark even more meaningful conversations. As you leave this space today, remember that the path to true respect, both self-respect and respect from others, is a journey of consistent, mindful choices. It starts with recognizing your intrinsic value and making small, deliberate changes in how you interact with the world. Trust that by investing in yourself, setting boundaries, and embracing a calm, measured response to life's challenges, you're building a foundation that will support you through every twist and turn. Thank you for spending this time with me, for exploring these ideas, and for taking a step toward a life that honors your true worth. Until next time, keep nurturing your inner strength, continue striving for genuine connections, and most importantly, remember that your value is not defined by external validation. It's an inherent part of who you are. Take care, and I look forward to our next conversation.